Quote of the day. I like this one. Stay afraid, but do it anyway, by Carrie Fisher. Love it. Awesome. Kind of the way I've been operating with this whole Foxbody project with all the stuff I've done on it. A lot of this crap scares me, but I'm doing it anyway. Well, it's been a while since I've been out here and fired up the GoPro working on the Foxbody, the Mustang here. And I just thought I'd show you guys where I'm at. So last update I showed, I had the cage all welded in. Well, I still wanted to reinforce these shock towers a little more, just because I'm probably overthinking it, overly paranoid. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to do too, and maybe add some more structure back here to kind of dress it up, I think. But this is kind of what I'm figuring I'll do is I'll put a plate on the floor. So, and then the frame rail, can't see spot welds very good here, but the frame rail kind of runs up under the car here. So I thought I'd use this plate, and I think I'm making it a little bit too big. So I'm going to take some time and think about this a little, see if I want to trim it up. But anyways, the frame rail runs under here, and I thought I'd make a plate that goes on top here that kind of ties in to the top side of the frame rails on each side, and then make another piece that kind of goes up and over the top of the shock tower here. And I'm going to leave a little opening here for the little rubber bushing and everything that goes for the top of the shock, the coilover, just so I'm not getting it too thick here. And then use another piece here, an upright, so then it'll tie in to the bottom plate, the top plate, and then weld it into the shock tower there to really reinforce it. Then what I think I'm going to do is run a bar across side to side, and then run another bar and put a tab on the bottom of the cage here, and run it down to the top of this upright bracket on each side. And see here a little bit, this down tube from the roll cage is a little bit more towards the center of the car than what this side is. But I'm thinking I'm going to run a tube pretty much straight down so it's completely vertical from the roll cage down to the top of here. So I'm actually thinking about trimming up this piece on both sides, trimming this back just a little bit. This side I think I'm going to trim back just a little bit here, and I think I'm going to actually build this so it comes up over the top of here and has a tab on the top to tie into the roll cage. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that on each side here, but like I said, this side sticks out a little more, so I might just leave this tab hanging out this much on this side, and again have a tab that make this piece a little bit taller so it has a tab up on the top, and then put a tab on the bottom of the roll cage there, and then tie that all in. But I'm going to go inside, do some math, and figure out what I really need here, and then I'm going to go from there. I don't know how you can lay here on this floor. It's about 55 degrees in here with the heat turned up. That floor's got to be cold. How do you do it, Barney? How do you do it? Well, enough of the shop dog. Doing a little more tweaking on my nice cardboard layouts that I have for my cross member that I want to build, supports that I want to build for the rear shock towers here. So I got center lines drawn for where I want to put holes in all these. And got them down here on these ones too, both sides, and did some measurements. So I had about 32¼ inches between side to side, and then I checked just between where I have things hung, and I just kind of eyeballed it to make sure everything looks vertical, straight, front to back, side to side, however you want to say it. And just did some measurements, laid it out so it looks like that upper center hole is straight above where the bracket down there is, just the best I could by eyeball. It looks pretty good to me. But I think I'm doing pretty good here, because the measurements I got for side to side were about 8 3/4, kind of trying to hold the tape measure and everything and get everything, and 8 11/16. So I think I'm doing pretty good. Things seem to be lining up pretty well, and feeling pretty good about this. So the next thing I'm going to do is pull these out of here and mark off. I'm going to have these uprights here. This piece be a 1/4 inch thick, along with the tab that goes up on the roll cage. And then the other pieces, the top and the bottom piece, are going to be 1/8 inch steel, is what I decided I'm going to do. And so I'm going to pull these out, kind of lay them out on a table, and hopefully get some steel bought. And I got an idea. Well, next thing is I'm going to work on seat brackets. Then I also have an idea of how to lay out some strut braces on each side. So I'm going to have to figure out, make sure things aren't going to end up in the way of the engine itself. I'm thinking I'm going to do something like what I did in the back, build a bracket that mounts to the firewall, build brackets that mount to the shock towers, and then just run like a tube with an eyelet on each end for the actual bracing itself, so I can remove that stuff as I need to and put it back in place as I need to. So we'll go from there, see what I can figure out. And of course, seat brackets. I think I'm going to work on those next. So I'm going to pull this seat out of here and then just use some cardboard and basically make a bracket that mounts right to the floor, and then figure out what I'm going to do from that bracket that mounts to the floor up to the side bolts on the seat. All right, I thought I'd show what I was up to now this whole weekend. So I started out and I think I showed you guys this stuff sitting in the car. So I made all my little templates out of cardboard. Well, some cardboard boxes, beer box, whatever. And made the templates. So here I got the stuff for the right hand side of the car, here for the left hand side. And then I thought, well, it's been about 30 years since I touched CAD, so it was like the late 90s when I took some CAD classes. So I talked to a friend and he let me know about some free software you can use. Well, it's free as long as it's not for commercial, but Autodesk Fusion Personal. But now I'll try to take some screen recordings of this and show what I did. Then I thought I'd use a ruler and a caliper here. And then I got a little bit smarter, and my wife had this nice graph paper sitting around, so I took all my templates. So like here's the right hand side. So here's the right hand side. So I just trace that onto some graph paper and put it into CAD. So like I said, I'll try to take some screen recordings. So here's the right hand side for the upright piece. I did make some modifications to it, like I did make a hole here because there's a grommet that goes into the top of the frame rail basically on each side. So I cut out a hole there, and so as you can see here, I kind of made the pieces a little bit bigger, and then I extended it on this spot here so that it should completely cover where the frame rail is underneath the floor of the car. And then left a little bit of material here. So just to show what's going on here, I wanted to, as I talked about, I had all the templates made up, and I thought I'd get all this stuff drawn up. And I was talking to a new friend at work that works in our machine shop, and he said if I drew some stuff up in CAD and gave him files as a DXF, that I could work on getting stuff water jet cut. So this was my project for this whole weekend. I showed previously in video that I made everything out of cardboard templates, and then I transferred it onto graph paper, which worked out really well. So then I went through and just drew everything up, and I got Autodesk Fusion Personal, not for commercial use, and just drew everything up in here. So the piece that goes on the roll cage is a 1/4 inch thick piece. And then I just drew all the other things out too. So I got a bracket on the floor, and as I mentioned before, I thought I should probably put a hole in there for where that one plug goes in the floor. So I'm pretty happy with how all this has turned out. I think I mentioned before I haven't touched CAD in probably about, it's probably been 25, 28 years, something like that, when did this stuff in college. Touched it once at a previous job, probably like 13 years ago, but didn't do a whole lot with it. This is the top piece that goes above the shock tower, but this will fit over there. So right about here on each side, there's going to be a bend in it, so these arms or wings will kind of come down next to the shock tower on each side instead of being flat out like what it is here. And the trickiest part was this upright piece. So again, this will go between the floor piece will be down underneath here. The shock tower piece will be here. This is a tab that'll go up and connect with that tab on the roll cage, and this one is the hole that'll connect from side to side. So when it's all said and done, it'll look something like this. So I'm pretty happy with this. Like I said, I spent probably a good part of the weekend working on this. So again, these tabs right about here and here will be bent down on each side to fit on top of that shock tower piece. Some of this might be a little bit too thick. I might have to end up taking some material off the bottom of this piece when it's all said and done, but I think just having this stuff cut out will be a major lifesaver. Save a lot of effort on my part for trying to get this all cut out. Otherwise, my thought was I'd just get some flat metal and cut all this out with a jigsaw. So then the left-hand side, so the driver's side, again, will look like this. So my next update, hopefully I'll have worked with my friend at work to get some of this stuff cut out on the water jet and be ready to install this in the car. Pretty excited.